This episode is brought to you by Alumni Q. For over 20 years, Alumni Q has been partnering with higher education institutions to build real, lasting connections that drive engagement, whether through events, volunteer management, or personalized fundraising strategies. Their software is designed to meet busy, accomplished alumni where they are, making it easier to connect, communicate, and involve them in meaningful ways. From personalized event experiences to targeted communications, Alumni Q ensures your constituents feel seen and valued. With 96% of clients staying with them long term, Alumni Q's active support and responsive development make sure you always have the tools you need when you need them. If you're looking for a trusted partner that truly understands higher education and is committed to helping your institution succeed, consider Alumni Q, powering the connections that last. Visit alumniq.com to learn more.
Chris, we can't hear you.
Yep. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. My first time as the main host because my colleague Ryan is off today at a client. He's at James Madison University as we speak, hosting a session. But I wanted to welcome everyone. Thanks for listening to Alumless. It is Friday, March 14th, 2025. This is the Innovation, Strategies, and Advancement edition of Alumless. I am going to take the lead, and then Nicole's going to take in a little bit as well. But my colleague, Nicole Kempton, many of you know, our co-host of Alumless World. Nicole, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi, Chris. I'm good. I'm excited about this topic today.
I figured you would be. This is something that's right up your alley. And Nicole, thanks for taking on the logistics of the pushing the buttons to change the slides and do all the stuff that you've done already. So nice work.
I feel like Ryan's going to be proud.
The opening is the hard part. We're over that. So on the show, we talk about constituent engagement strategies and educational advancement. We're live today. Davy Norris from Louisiana Tech is our guest. He'll be joining us here in a moment. If you're tuning in, please let us know in the comments. We love when people jump in on the comments and say hello, ask a question. That'd be great. We can pull those into the live feed. And if you're listening to us on the podcast edition, welcome. Thank you for those who have joined and subscribed. If you want to hear we do a 30-minute live session with Davy, and we do a 30-minute bonus session. It's only available on the podcast. So if you want that, to hear that the special guest bonus segment, please join us by listening in on the podcast edition. And we appreciate you welcoming us, adding us to your feed. And we're also, let me shout out to Steve Rittler, one of our sponsors for the Alumless broadcast from Alumni Q. Steve is an old friend and a great colleague, and he has a great product that you just saw the ad for. So we appreciate them sponsoring the edition today. So let's go, Nicole.
Yeah, it's really good to be with you today, Chris, and I'm excited to hear from Davy. Our topic is about how innovation and advancement are connected and how alumni can be part of that equation. And so let's start really broadly. What do you see as some of the connection between advancement and innovation? It could be a core value, part of the mission, or even a center on campus, right?
Yeah. The first thing that came to mind when I was thinking, when I saw this question in the prep, was that innovation often comes in when we are in a context of a campaign and we're trying to raise those large mega gifts. And it's the big ideas, those innovative, institutional changing collaborations that happen on a large college or university campus, where you need that innovative thinking to create the big idea, frankly. And what we're finding is our largest donors, our 8- and 9-figure donors to campaigns, want that big idea, that innovative entrepreneurial thinking and approach that's going to really change not just the institution, but potentially change the world. So that's the first thing I thought of. But I do see it pop up across advancement shops. It is not unusual. I'm somewhere in the mid 70s. I've done strategic planning with alumni engagement shops around the country, and it is not unusual to have innovation as one of the core values of the work we do on the alumni engagement side. So thinking about how we are constantly keeping up with technology, the biggest trend, obviously, artificial intelligence, and what we can use that for in our work. So I see it pretty consistently, but the biggest impact I think I see it in is on the large campaign scale side. And we're talking about mega gifts and the big ideas. That's where I usually see it come through.
Yeah, for sure. And I think our special guest today is going to talk to us a lot more about this and more. Dr. Davy Norris serves as the CEO of Louisiana Tech University Foundation, and he's also the Senior Vice President for Innovation and Advancement at the university. So I'm
Really
going to
cool
bring out here onto the stage. Hi, Davy.
Good morning, Nicole, Chris.
Good to see you.
Afternoon, Nicole. Morning, Chris. Morning for me.
Yeah. Well, great to see you. Thank you for doing this. I love your title. I think it's one of the coolest titles I've seen in the business. But let's get
really
right
all
in.
about titles, Chris. That's really what we're. Don't ask me what I do. Just look at the title.
Yeah. So what prompted the decision to merge the innovation enterprise and the university advancement at Louisiana Tech?
I'd say it's really kind of two things. So innovation is, as a term, been around a long time, and at universities a while, and so it means a lot of different things depending on the institution. It took on a particular character here. We didn't actually start an innovation center or centers. That we evolved an innovation enterprise, which was a collection of initiatives that eventually kind of got integrated. And then I just branded it the Innovation Enterprise at Louisiana Tech. And what it is a collection of external engagements with small, medium-sized, large corporate partners that connect them in some deep, meaningful way to the university and provides mutual benefit. Leverage the assets of the institution in a way that benefits our corporate partners, and then have those corporate partners return that benefit to the campus. Over time, in doing that work, I worked a lot with our university foundation. A lot of the deals, for example, you want to do with a small or large company, you don't want to do them through the state enterprise, you want to do them through the foundation entity. And then a lot of interaction with the development team, because I'm engaging with a CEO who's also an alum, and we're talking about a partnership engagement with that company, and that development officer is also talking to that same person. So there was just a lot of obvious synergy for integrating these operations, and what exactly that looked like is the next question. The other real motivation, besides operational integration to kind of achieve synergies that would improve the fundraising enterprise and the partnership engagement. The other piece was in this broader context of universities like Tech today, the dynamic market that we exist in that was not the case 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. For schools like Tech, the upending of the financing model for universities, all of that has put tremendous business and economic stress on institutions like Tech. And so they're out chasing, how do we generate new sources of revenue and diversified sources of revenue that are reliable over time? And that was the other motivation for what we've integrated here is, can we build an enterprise that is well positioned to leverage the assets of the institution to generate diversified sources of revenue, which includes philanthropic gifts, but lots of other revenue streams over time. And so that's the goal, and those were the original motivations.
When you first, if you don't mind, Nicole, real quick, were you in a more traditional advancement structure and evolved to this, or how did this? What was the origin?
Yeah, we had a traditional advancement structure, fundraising team engagement, alumni engagement, and the foundation all wrapped together. And then our innovation enterprise was over as our innovation enterprise has always been this team that operates on the boundary of the university, and not unlike a development operation. That team you think of them as bilingual. They speak the language of academics, but they also speak the language of the corporate world. And those two worlds like to work together, but they don't know how. They don't speak the same language. Right. They don't have the same timelines, incentive structures, cultures, all that stuff. And so their puzzle pieces don't fit. So you have this interplay in between them that helps line them up. And it's a very hands-on, deeply engaging role. It's not just making introductions and passing people off. So those two things were operating kind of traditionally and separately. And then it just became more and more obvious over time. And then we had a presidential transition. It created opportunity to just do new big things. And during that transition, there was tremendous advocacy from our friends, donors, partners to put these things together to kind of change the business model of the institution and create an opportunity for a bigger future over the next generation at Louisiana Tech.
Sort of seems like you're overseeing an ecosystem rather than, divisions that aren't speaking to each other, which sounds really interesting. And I'm wondering if you mentioned some other schools like Tech are faced with similar challenges. Have you seen this trend at other institutions, and are you seeing more alignment with advancement around when you look at your peers?
Yeah, I'm glad you used the term ecosystem, because that's the other way to look at this. And in fact, that's how our external partners and parties look at it, is becoming, when they want to connect with this, they're becoming part of an ecosystem. And so on our side, trying to build and manage this, we need to think of ourselves as building an ecosystem and bringing it together. So it's just you can think of 4 pieces of what we've tried to integrate. One is this innovation enterprise team I described. And then you can actually take the fundraising development operation and the foundation as a business entity. And those are 2 different things. We always link them together at universities, but they're actually 2 different things. And that business entity can do a lot of things, a lot of business activities that have the opportunity to generate revenue for the foundation and then for the university. And then we have another entity actually that was set up. It's an external entity that was designed to do all of our national security and Department of Defense engagements, classified and cleared work and those kinds of things. That's actually all part of the same division now, but they're all external facing, external engaged entities that if they don't generate revenue and a return on investment, why would you do them? And so they all have that in common. I'm sure there are other universities doing something similar and some of the same labels kind of they're putting together, but everything looks so different at different institutions. What the innovation operation looks like, it has so much variety. What their foundation business operations look like. And even if they had similar operations, the climate that they're in is so different. You take Louisiana Tech and you put it in Dallas, it's a whole different environment that you're operating in, or just put it, in some mid-sized town. Louisiana Tech is in the town of 25,000 people in the rural part of a poor state. And yet there's 25 high-tech companies on our campus doing, software development and secure microelectronics and AI in manufacturing and data analytics for the Air Force. So it's a very unusual place. We can't walk across the street and find Google or AT&T to work with. So we leverage the assets of the institution to bring all those kind of things together. So it's a bit of a unique environment and experience here. We've learned a lot from other universities. Sometimes what didn't work is as important as what did work.
Mm-hmm. Said like a true innovation guy.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
In a traditional advancement structure, you have a little bit off script here, David, but again, you'll be fine. Traditional advancement structure, there's this corporate foundation relations function. Typically, you have somebody who's in charge of CFR. And it sounds like it's a corporate relations on steroids version of what you typically would find. But do you find the same thing with other foundations when you go to partner, that same kind of collaborative, innovative spirit that they're looking for as well? Or is it more corporate side? Or is it both corporate and foundation?
So I'll give you an example of how, corporate relations on steroids. So our largest tenant in one of our multi-tenant facilities is a prime defense contractor. They're based in Huntsville. Huntsville's all that defense sector there, commercial defense sector there. They're very aligned with the university. They're a high-tech R&D company, very aligned with our capabilities. So they have a secure microelectronics R&D operation here. They tie into our student talent, our faculty talent, and our facilities. We just won a big DARPA award with them. That CEO is also a major donor to the university. So is the company is a major donor.
Yep.
So there's a donor engagement piece with the same people, the same company. The partnership engagement piece is long-term lease in one of our multi-tenant facilities, which is owned by our foundation, therefore a revenue generator for our foundation. They hire our students while they're still students, which is money in the pocket of our students, which part of that ends up as tuition and fee revenue at our university and helps retain those students. It also helps us recruit stronger students when you can tell them that opportunity exists at your university.
Right.
You just go down the list, checking the boxes. Economic development in the community. The community sees that whole engagement as an economic development project. It is. It's just a whole lot more things. So it's not easy, and you can't always check all those boxes on an engagement, but that's the goal here is, and if you're separated, you can still do some of that. It's just a lot harder.
Yeah. I mean, you touched on this, but in a couple different examples there, but it really changed the model change. I mean, I love the ecosystem label on it that was brought up. I think that's the right one, because it hits every different aspect of it. But when we talk about institutional wide strategy and goals, it's a game changer for student recruitment, go right down the list, everything you just checked off there. I mean, intentional that was how it was set up, or are you seeing these as
planned this all along?
Planned from the beginning, right?
It's not. There's a J.R. Tolkien quote, which you've heard. You may not be that familiar with it, and I love it. It's called "Not all who wander are lost." And I actually saw it first on a T-shirt with Bigfoot on a T-shirt. It says, "Not all who wander are lost." There's an element of wandering down, through the wilderness, and there's not a path. You know where you're trying to get. It's just not a destination that's been well defined by anybody yet, and so you're not afraid of a little bushwhacking, and you got to have some people that are willing to follow you down that path, and you're sort of blazing a trail, and so you got to be willing to adjust and pivot and take the signals. Okay, there's a cliff, we're not going that way, but looks like there's some sunlight through the trees here, let's do that. So we didn't plan all this, but each time we saw the opportunity, we tried to be agile and pivot and line it up and execute on it, and be open, and be okay to fail sometimes, and be open to when opportunity comes along.
Institutional culture allows you to think this and behave this way. I mean, it starts with probably a president or a chancellor, all the way down to folks like you and across the institution. You have to be willing to take this risk. I could see some places not even fathoming this approach.
Absolutely, and that's another wise quote just from a friend who said, "There's no reason a school like Louisiana Tech should be successful in North Louisiana." What that means is this is an engineering science school with a big business school in a town of 25,000 people in a rural part of the state that doesn't really spend a lot on higher education. But implicit in that statement, because Tech's been around for 130 years, has done quite well, is there must be some reason. The reason I come around to, and I won't get into all the other really interesting elements of Ruston. There are extraordinary entrepreneurial success stories in this town. You wouldn't believe it, even if I started listening. That to me is why Tech has had success so far, and I think is really poised for great things in the future. There's some kind of entrepreneurial mindset here. It's always been an entrepreneurial university, which means the entrepreneurship mindset means seeking opportunity, willing to take some risk to go and seize that opportunity. Taking on the risk is what universities are not used to doing. Even foundations don't really like to do that. But there's something in the water or in the air here where people are willing to take some risks to do big stuff. And you hit the nail on the head. That's not normal at universities. I would have been kicked out years ago at most universities for trying to do what I've been doing.
And Davy, can you talk a little bit about sort of specifically the alumni engagement piece? Because as I'm listening to you talk, I think, gosh, it'd be so exciting probably for a lot of your alumni to be plugged into this ecosystem. It's such a meaningful way to engage with the university. Can you talk about specifically how the Louisiana Tech Alumni Association fits into the strategy and some of the ways that the structure has influenced alumni engagement there?
So our new chief development officer, which is a new role because it's a new structure, and so the person who leads the fundraising operation has a little bit different responsibility set. That person was just recently the chair of our Alumni Association board. So he comes from that community and understands that side really well. A significant share of the companies that are either on our campus or deeply engaged with the university, their C-suite is full of tech grads, either the CEO, CIO, CFO. So there's already a significant alumni piece to all this. And there were prominent and well-engaged alumni who were advocating for doing this kind of stuff. They see it. They're coming from a world where you integrate, bring things together, and generate revenue opportunities. That's the world they came up in. That's what they understand. And so they advocated for this. And so this is our foundation board chair said to me about a week after we set all this up, the first foundation board meeting, me as CEO of the foundation, he said, "Davy, I am all behind this. I am all for it." And mentioning the president who was behind it, he said, "I'm behind him. I'm behind you. Can you tell me exactly what it is I'm behind?" And so the way I took that is he believes in the president. He believes in me. We've made a pitch that this is the thing we need to do. But you do have to go deliver on it. You got to show wins. You got to show it's working. And you want people to have some patience with it because the full integration takes some time. But in the end, I think donors, but alumni in general are going to really, it's going to resonate with them, and it's going to deepen their engagement, expand that engagement.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I love that quote from your
the board chair
association president.
What am I getting behind here?
Awesome. Yeah. I'm behind you. What am I behind
you? But can you tell me what it is I'm behind?
Yeah, that's funny. So Chris, as you're digesting what Davy's shared today, kind of what comes to mind for you? I think just putting innovation like this front and center with advancement have any pitfalls from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, when you hear Davy talk about it, it seems like there's no downside when you have a leader like him in mind here. But I guess there's potential, and we touched on it just a few moments ago, in that you need to have those people who are willing to get behind it. Otherwise, this is not. I mean, if you have a traditional college president, she or he is worried about taking risk, you're not going to be able to succeed in this kind of environment. You have to have the culture and the willingness and the individuals to take that risk and to invest in lean into this kind of approach. I mean, I guess one potential one might be is that, again, looking at a traditional fundraising advancement mindset, are we taking time away from cultivating and soliciting major gifts directly from individuals by having somebody who's focused on multiple areas like this? But to me, I guess the right leadership at the right time with the right structure in place, you avoid that risk that comes with it. But so I mean, this seems to me, Davey, that this is working. I mean, have you found what were the concerns that you guys had in terms of risk going into this early on in the process? Let me ask that. I know we're getting near the end of our first half here, Nicole.
I think your instincts are right there. You worry that you're going to detract from one or the other of these focuses, because people will get spread too thin or things like that, or something gets de-emphasized because now you took the guy from the innovation side, put him over advancement, and now that advancement's going to suffer. All that is possible. You also, if you get involved in more diversified business activity, things can go wrong. If you take risk, sometimes you lose. And so you try to mitigate all that. You try to be smart about it. So if you're not realistic about what the pitfalls are and even explicit and talk about them openly with your board, with the key parties, the president included, you'll step in those holes. You'll fall in those pitfalls. But being aware of them is the best way to mitigate them.
Yeah. I like that when you talk about walking through the woods, there's a cliff over there and there's sunlight through the trees. And let's go to the sunlight. That's it's a great metaphor. Any examples of this approach on local economy or regional partnerships you'd like to share that you can, give us a specific, if you can?
Yeah, that was so quickly, the largest bank headquartered in Louisiana, founded and headquartered in Ruston, Louisiana, 25,000 people. One of the largest wealth management companies in the southeastern United States, $90 billion under management, founded, headquartered in Ruston, Louisiana. I could go down the list. Those two sound crazy, but it gets bigger after that. Those parties are like, do this as an economic development initiative for Ruston and Lincoln Parish and for the state of Louisiana. And our state economic development agency sees that too. So yeah, there's an angle on this that's all about economic impact and maximizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, back to you. We got to wrap it. I know we're getting close here, but what's next for us on Alumless World? Can you give us the highlights of what's coming?
Yeah. So next on Alumless World, next Friday, we have Louis Adekola from Advantage Africa, and he's also with the University of Sussex in the UK as a regional director. And he'll be sharing some really interesting insights. He's based in Nigeria and works with institutions across the African continent on building up their advancement teams and training and capacity building and all that kind of stuff. So really interesting guy. And then on Alumless in 2 weeks' time, we have Gina Yazzolino from the University of Portland. So 2 great episodes to look forward to.
Great. Thank you so much.
And I think we're going to record our 30-minute bonus segment with Davy right now. So we're going to end here on the LinkedIn live stream and YouTube version. But you can see the 30-minute bonus segment, or listen to the 30-minute bonus segment rather, anywhere where you get your podcast. So really appreciate you adding Alumless to your podcast feed. And make sure that while you're there, you subscribe to Alumless World as well. And thanks to all of those who've joined us live. Podcast listeners, we'll be right back.